The Midnight Ledger of Hallelujah House. Marcy worked at the Hallelujah House, a narrow 5-story building tucked between 2 bakeries that smelled eternally of toasted cinnamon. From 9 to 5, her life was measured in the steady rhythm of a stamping machine. She wasn't selling bread or books. She was the clerk of second chances. The house hummed with a soft, choral vibration that made her sneakers tap against the checkered floor as she waited for the first customer of the morning. The job was simple but precise. People came in with time debts, hours they had wasted on regrets, or words they wished they hadn't said. Marcy would calculate the cost and hand them Grace dollars, glowing slips of paper that smelled like rain. "Remember," she'd tell them, her voice gentle and full of grace, "you can't buy yesterday, but you can certainly invest in tomorrow." Every dollar she gave out had to be balanced in her ledger by 5 o'clock. Her manager, a boy named Kaito, who always carried a pocket watch and wore a vest too large for his frame, checked the clock every hour. Kaito was obsessed with efficiency. "Time is a river, Marcy," he would say, adjusting his glasses, "and we are the dam holding back the flood of lost moments." He moved with a frantic energy, his shadow always seeming to be a few seconds ahead of his body. As the clock struck 5, most workers went home, but Marcy and Kaito stayed. The Hallelujah House began to groan and stretch, its wooden beams creaking like a ship at sea. The gold-leafed sign on the door flipped. It no longer said, "Open, 9 to 5. Instead, it pulsed with a neon violet light that read, "Adventure, 10 to 20. The mundane world vanished, replaced by a sky filled with 3 moons and clocks that ticked backwards. The 10 to 20 shift was where the real work happened. Between 10 p.m. and 8 p.m. the following night, a 20-hour cycle outside of normal time, they had to venture into the sea of seconds to reclaim spent dreams. Marcy gripped her satchel of Grace dollars. Kaito checked his watch, which now had 24 numbers and moved in reverse. "The budget is tight tonight," he warned. "We have 10 hours to earn back a century of lost hope." They stepped onto a bridge made of frozen light. The air was cold and tasted like peppermint. Below them, the time thieves, shadowy figures with umbrellas, tried to snatch the Grace dollars from Marcy's bag. She didn't fight them with force. She offered them small tokens of kindness. "You don't have to steal time," she whispered, handing a glowing bill to a shadow. "You just have to forgive yourself for losing it." Kaito hurried her along, his boots clicking on the light. "We're burning daylight, or whatever this purple glow is. We need to reach the great hourglass before the 20th hour." They were chasing a massive, floating vessel that looked like a grandfather clock crossed with a galleon. It was the source of the town's collective joy, and it was leaking golden sand into the abyss. To fix the leak, they had to pay the toll of presence. It required every Grace dollar Marcy had earned during her 9 to 5 shift. She watched her hard work flutter into the giant hourglass of the ship. "All that effort," Kaito muttered, his shoulders slumping, "managed so carefully, only to be spent in a second." But Marcy just laughed, her eyes reflecting the gold of the sand. "That's what dollars are for, Kaito, to be used when they matter most." As the final dollar hit the sand, the ship let out a deep, resonant chime that echoed through the dimensions. The 10 to 20 adventure reached its peak as the world began to reset. Kaito looked at his watch and finally smiled. They had managed the time perfectly. The Hallelujah House began to pull them back, the violet sky fading into the soft pink of a Tuesday morning. At 8:59 a.m., Marcy was back behind her counter. Her sneakers were a bit dusty, and her satchel was empty, but her heart was full. The cinnamon smell returned as the bakeries next door opened their ovens. Kaito straightened his vest and opened the ledger to a fresh blank page. 9 o'clock, Marcy, he said. Marcy picked up her stamp. "Ready for Grace," she replied, as the first customer walked through the door.